This is an outpost guide for Starfield. I've already made one before, but I'm going to make an updated 2.0 version now that I've played like 150 hours of this game. I'm going to try to cover everything in this. We'll even get in cargo interlinks and all those different systems. But first, the very first thing that you need to do is you need to head to Alpha Centauri. You need to go to Jemison, and then you need to go to the New Atlantis fast travel. When you first get here, right next to where you come in, there's ship services. Now, you'll need some money, but go view and modify your ships. Now, if you don't have money, you can go kill enemies in randomly generated worlds and stuff, sell their weapons and gear, or you can follow one of the money guides I have in the description of this video. So go to whatever ship you have, and then go to the shipbuilder. And the main thing that you're going to want to do if you're going to get into outpost building is you're going to want to add, and you're going to want to go to the cargo tab. And you're just going to find places where you can stick on extra cargo stuff and then add on some extra cargo so you can carry more stuff. You want to see your cargo be at least 1,000 if you're going to get into outpost building. But ideally, you make something that has like 3,000 cargo. Or, you know, it's just a lot of it. Then you need to make a pit stop at Jemison Mercantile. So from where we were, you go up where you get scanned and you go left up these stairs. It'll take you to Jemison Mercantile. And the reason we do this is because we can fastly or quickly put our stuff in cargo from here. So there's a few things. If you're going to get started in outposts, the easiest way to get started is to just buy aluminum, and then buy some beryllium, buy some copper, and then buy some iron as well, and then buy some tungsten, and then also you're going to buy the zero wire. And if you have some extra money, what you're going to do is you're going to go over to the chairs that are outside of this place. There's some chairs right back there. Go sit down over there and wait 24 hours, and then buy some of this stuff again, especially the aluminum and the iron. Then, if you're close enough to your ship, and if not, run over this way. Maybe you'll be close enough then. And then you're going to open up your menu and go down here. You have a cargo hold in the ship right here. And from this UI, if you're close enough to your ship, you can go to your inventory at the bottom right. You can go to your resources, and you can press store all resources at the bottom to stuff them into your ship. That way, you can actually fast travel still and move around the map. Then after that, you're going to try to find a planet for your first outpost. So your ideal goal is to get iron and aluminum. But you don't normally find those together in the same biome, which I'll show you a trick for that in a sec. But if you want to, you can make an outpost on Kurtz for aluminum, and then you can make an outpost on Zamka for iron. Or you can do what I'm about to show you here, but it's a little tricky. Some people seem to have problems with doing it, but hopefully you won't. So you can instead go to Narion up here, and there's this planet called Androphon. You don't need any special stuff. It's a temperate planet. You don't need planetary habitation. When you go to a planet, if you want to see what resources are on it, they're over here, and there'll be a button here that says Scan. I've already scanned, so instead it says Show Resources. So after you scan, it'll show the resources. And you can see, for example, this is iron, and you can see this is aluminum. But you'll notice when I click on aluminum, on the right it says craters. And when I click on the iron, on the right it says mountains. That means iron can only be found in mountains, and aluminum can only be found in craters. So you could make 2 outposts, and that's fine if you want to do it that way. Or if you want to try for it, you can go here, and you can, when you click, you see this spot right here. This is where it's going to randomly generate a map. I could go here, and then I could also go here later, and it will randomly generate a new map. And I go here, and it's a totally different map. And you keep generating as many maps as you want. Well, if you try to do it on the border, so what you do here is you see on the right it says mountains, and if I go over here it says craters. What I can do is I can click on this to put it down, and then click on it to pick it up, and then move it closer, and then pick it up and move it closer, and now it says mountains. And then I go back some, and now it says craters. And then I move to the right, and now it says mountains. And you try to get like right on the edge to where there's mountains. I move a little bit to the left, it's mountains. A little bit more to the left, it's mountains, and now it's craters. Okay, so I'm like right on the edge. If you do this, you have like maybe a 50-50 chance of generating a split biome. So on Androphon, in the Narion system, if you go here on a split biome and land now on the right, there's like a 50-50 chance or so if you do it just like that, that you'll have a split biome when you arrive. So when you get here, if you take a look around, we'll see if I got one. If not, I'd have to generate a second one. So when I go here, you can see in the distance that gray biome, that is the craters biome, and the brown one is the mountains biome. So that's perfect. So now what you're going to want to do, if you're going to follow along with this part and do it this way instead of having 2 different outposts, what you're going to do in this situation then is you're going to go to that seam between the two biomes. Once you get there, you can open up your scanner with F or whatever it is on Xbox, and then at the bottom left you'll see Outpost. There's a button. It's R on keyboard, whatever it says there on Xbox. When you pull this thing out, at the top left, it'll show you what resources are within range of the outpost you're about to make. So if you are trying to make one that has iron and aluminum, and you can even find helium-3 as well, you can just run along this border until you see aluminum and iron at the top left. And if you really want to take your time, you can also do it to where there's helium-3, aluminum, and iron all in one place. But right here, you'll see aluminum, beryllium, and iron. So what you can do is you can put this down by pressing confirm at the bottom right, which is E, or whatever it says on Xbox. Then at the bottom right, it says toggle view, which is V. Then you can go to this, and you can like basically act like you're looking down at the ground, so down on the thumbstick or swipe downward to zoom out. And then you can look around for the different resources. So you go to the different extractors at the top right, a scroll wheel on mouse and keyboard, and you can go to the iron extractor and see where the iron patch was, and see where it was inside of your outpost circle. You look at the beryllium, you can look at the aluminum, and if you like the spot, then you stick with it. If you don't like the spot, then you'll keep going. Now, the reason we go for aluminum and iron first is they are the most frequently used resources. It takes aluminum and iron to make most of these things in this game. So you're going to put down extractors. At the top left, you see extractors will use aluminum, tungsten, and iron. So at the bottom, it says E to build. So for these, you don't need them to be fully in the circle. You can actually, it's better to put them on the edge and try to cram in as many as you possibly can in whatever space that you have here. Now, in this space, this is a horrible aluminum spot, so I'm only going to get 2, but that's fine for the purposes of demonstration. Then we're going to go over to the other side where the iron was, and we're going to put down a few extractors along the edge like this. And now we have, say, 4 extractors. Okay, so now what we need is we need to power the extractors. They have an operating cost. So at the bottom right, it says needed power 30, and the 30 is in red. So we don't have enough power. We need 30. So the top right says C and Z to change tabs. Press C to go to the power tab. And depending on the planet, you'll use solar arrays or you'll use wind power. You can also use a fuel generator, which uses helium, which is a very planet-specific thing. And it's kind of a higher-end thing to do. I've never actually used them because they're not really worth it. Like, really, I'd better just put down solar arrays and stuff. So on this planet, there's no atmosphere, so there's no wind, but there's plenty of sun. So what we do is we can go to the best place to do this, best practice in my mind, is just go to the edge of your outpost circle and just line these up around the edge, just to save on space. So you're going to put these down until you have your power needs met at the bottom right. So we have 30 of 30, and now we're okay. Now our extractors are producing resources. But the extractors now will store the resources inside of the extractor, and they can't hold very much. So we need storage. So at the top right, C and Z to change tabs, press C, and you're going to go to solid storage. Now, at this point, if you're watching this and you're a beginner, you're just going to have the basic one. There's higher level ones you can go to. There's variants at the bottom right, Q and T. And you go to these better ones. You unlock these with research, which we'll get to a little bit later on. So you'll just have the basic storage, little dinky storages. And then E to build. And then these things, they're really finicky to work with. And there's things with height. They have to be at the same height, or like, they can't go into a hill. They will not automatically make them go up. So then you'll say you can't build. So it's just weird with height differences and things. But you'll just go ahead and put down a row of these. Then you're going to put down another row right next to that. Something like this. Then at the bottom right, there's modify mode. It's tab on mouse and keyboard. And this lets you go over to these things and press a button at the bottom right. It says create output link. That's going to be right click on mouse and keyboard. Brings up one of these so you can link it to something. Then you're going to look at one of the storages like this and then press the button again, or E. It says at the bottom create output link. Press the button. That'll connect it to the storage so that as these produce resources, instead of carrying them on the extractors that can't carry very much, it will instead immediately move them to the storage. Then you take that storage and create an output link and move the output link to the next storage over, and you repeat the process for the whole chain. And that'll make it so the first thing that gets filled is the last thing in the chain. So this one will get filled first, then if it's full, then this one will get filled, then this one, until everything's full. So that's it for the iron. Now for the aluminum, we're going to put it into the other ones. So we're going to take these ones, and we're going to create an output link, and we're going to connect the output link over to this one. And then you're going to repeat the process for any other aluminum extractors that you have. And then we're going to do the same thing where we connect all these boxes. Now, I would strongly discourage crisscrossing boxes. Like, I could connect this to this and then have my resources get all mixed up. That's generally not a good idea, because resources will produce at different rates depending on what resource it is and what extractor you're using. So if you end up where you're making too much iron, you may end up where all of them are filled with iron and there's no aluminum, or something like that can happen. So it's always better to keep your resources separate, just so that you'll have some of every resource no matter what. Then at the bottom right, tab to go back to build mode. And now what you need to do is you need to go to the crafting tab, and there's an industrial workbench. You can put it down wherever. I'm just going to put everything over by these storages. And then another thing that you may want, and that we're going to take a look at, is the research lab. Now, if you followed my list, you should have the ingredients for both of those. Finally, change tabs over to the furniture, and just put down a bench for now. We'll get to the other stuff in a sec, but this is the basics of how to get started because we need these different resources. So now head on over to the industrial workbench and the bench. So with all these connected, they are producing resources. You can double check. You can see there's 21 iron in here, and there's a 12 aluminum in there. So they're making resources, but we want to speed up the process. So we're going to sit down on this bench that we made. At the bottom, there'll be a wait button. It says it's whatever it is. It's B by default on mouse and keyboard. And depending on the planet, there's a different ratio of local hours to universal time hours. So this is a good planet for this. 1 local hour is 5 universal, or almost 6 hours of universal time. Resource production is based off universal time. So if I sleep 24 hours, or I wait 24 hours here, that's 140 hours of universal time, which is 140 hours of resource generation. So you'll just go something like this, and you'll just wait 24 hours or 12 hours or something like that, just to get a bunch of resources stocked up in the storages real fast. So after 12 local hours, I get up, turn around, and you can see that everything is full. There's tons of iron, tons of aluminum, and now we have a lot of stuff to work with for this basic stuff. But before we do, something smart to do, you can open the scanner and then at the bottom press R for outpost in order to quickly get to the build menu again. You're going to go to the last tab and you're going to go to the landing pad with shipbuilder. You're going to want to toggle view for this because this thing's massive. And you're just going to want to put this somewhere nearby where you'll be able to get to that little staircase on it relatively quickly. So we'll just put it right here and then we'll close it. Now, the way this is supposed to work is whenever you fast travel to here, your ship will go here. But on launch, the game's very buggy, and the ship doesn't always go here. So if you do go here and the ship's not here, or it's your first time and you just want it to be here right now, you can always go to the shipbuilder control console on it, press view and modify ships, change to another ship, make a ship your home ship, go back to the ship that you actually want, make that your home ship, and then it'll be there. Now, the first time you do it, if you do it right after you built this, it'll be invisible, but it's actually there. And there's a reason we want to do that, because we want to transfer resources to it. And in order to do that, we have to be within 250 meters of it. So we need to move it closer like that. All right, so now that it's in position, and now that we have these resources, we're going to go to this industrial workbench. And from here, we can make adaptive frames. So you're going to want it, depending how much iron you have, you know, you're going to make like a couple hundred of these, 200 or something, 300. And then you're going to take the iron, you're going to take the aluminum, you're going to take the adaptive frames, and you're going to put them in your ship. So you can go to your inventory, go to your ship, go to its cargo hold, and then go to your inventory, go to your resources, and then store all resources in your ship if your ship has enough cargo space. You can see your ship's cargo space at the cargo hold down to the bottom left right there. So you're going to do that. Now you have working materials. Now you can build a lot more stuff. This is like the basis of building outposts, is get this outpost set up, something like this with iron and aluminum, either in one outpost or in 2 different outposts, just so you can get your hands on aluminum, get your hands on bulk amounts of iron, bulk adaptive frames, and that's the basis for a lot of stuff. You'll see that if I go to the storage, it's adaptive frames, aluminum iron, adaptive frames, aluminum nickel, aluminum titanium, but everything uses adaptive frames, aluminum and iron for the most part, other than maybe gas storage. You look at solar arrays, we got more aluminum. Look at extractors, it's often iron and aluminum, so that's why we always want to do this first. So there we go, we're step 1 complete, and then we're going to look at some other stuff right after this research lab. So I had you put down this research lab for a reason, so I want to show you some things in here. So if you go into the research lab, this is how you unlock more complex industrial buildings. So you can go to Outpost Development, and you go to Manufacturing 1. This is required to do any manufacturing or any automated manufacturing. And all you do is you click it and you put in these different materials if you want to unlock it. This first one will unlock simple fabricators, small warehouse modules, and inter-system cargo links, which is what we'll use to transport materials across solar systems. So this is probably the most important thing to get, and it's very cheap to get. You can buy all these things for like 100 credits or something at Jemison Mercantile, maybe 200 credits. Then we get Resource Extraction 1. This is another good one. You can buy drilling rigs on Voli from, I can't remember the guy's name, but the guy with the funny accent. And there's or you might be able to find them occasionally at UC Distributions or whatever. But just get things and upgrade things and unlock more stuff. That's a really important part of Outpost. Making Outpost is getting these different researches done. You'll also see at the bottom it says Required Skills, Outpost Engineering Rank 1. As you go through different ones, you'll need different skills. So this one, for example, it takes Outpost Engineering Rank 2. Rank 1, Rank 1. This one takes Zoology. This one takes Botany. So there's different skills that you'll need in order to get later on, like get the higher level ones. You can do that by opening your inventory and going to Skills. Most of them are under Science. There's Outpost Engineering. There's Zoology. There's Botany. So a lot of the stuff you'll find in here. You'll find Special Projects. You'll find Chemistry, which is for making pharmaceuticals and stuff. So if you need to unlock more stuff, just go in there. So that's how we unlock more stuff, the mid-game, the end-game. That's the progression system for making outposts. So now we're going to take a look at some of the other parts of outposts. But before we do, something you may want to consider is if you need any resources, you can repeat this process we did here on any planet to get any resource you want. So you can go to a planet and you can scan it and then see what resources are on it. You won't be able to scan it remotely like I just did unless you have a skill for that. But you can fly to it and then scan it and see what's there. This one has iridium, this one has uranium, all that stuff. One thing that you'll really want to consider getting is over here in Jaffa has a really good planet for beginner stuff. You'll need higher level scanning to find a good spot though, scanning level 2 in the science skills. But there's Jaffa 7b. And this one, it has titanium and it has tungsten. So, and they're both of those, I think, are in the same biome. Titanium, yeah. So you don't even have to do the split biome thing. You just got to go to the frozen plains here in the right area, and then you'll be able to make a base that has titanium and tungsten. Both of which are very, very helpful later on for making warehouses, for making lots of buildings. Some of those extractors use tungsten and stuff. Another important resource is copper, and then you'll just see as you make things. So whenever you go to make something, you'll see what resources it takes, and you'll realize what you need. Lead's another one that gets used. There's also animal components. You know, there's zoology and botany, and you'll go to a planet that has life. So, for example, there's Alpha Centauri, and if I had zoology and botany unlocked, which I do, I would go there, I would land somewhere, and I would go scan the plants and the animals. Once a domesticatable animal or a harvestable plant is scanned to 100%, then it will let you build a greenhouse or an animal husbandry facility on that planet in order to farm those to get things like solvent or fiber or nutrient or metabolic agent or biosuppressant or whatever. So that's how you get some of those other weird materials and stuff if you need one of those in bulk. So that's getting materials. That's how to get the materials in bulk for building the outpost. So now let's take a look at the rest of the outpost. So we're going to go back to scan and then outpost. Take a look at the other tabs. So we already look at power and storage and extractors. If you get that higher level research, this is where the fabricator is. You'll be able to put down a fabricator, and then you'll be able to go to modify mode. You'll be able to connect, say, the iron and the aluminum to it, and then you'd have to have this go to an output, and you make a warehouse for it. But then you could go to the control console and say, I want adaptive frames built. And as long as you have enough power to power it, it'll start making it. It won't be able to carry very many, so you'd want to go to build mode, and you'd want to, if you get this unlocked, you'll have warehouse unlocked. And then you would, you know, make a warehouse, and then go to modify mode and connect that to the warehouse. And now you're making adaptive frames automatically. So that's the fabrication system. It's actually pretty simple. Then we're going to go to structures. This is just housing. So if we go to structures, one of my favorites is the hydroponic hab. Now, one of the things with this is if I build this down here, let's say, I have to double click E to confirm. Then say I want an outpost airlock. You'll notice this thing where it's red and it says it intersects with an existing object. That's because it's running into the side of the cliff. So the only way I'd be able to do it is if there's enough room vertically wherever it's going, which there is right here. Which I don't really want this like this, so I'm going to go to modify mode, and at the bottom there's delete, which is R on keyboard. So hold R to delete it, or whatever it is on Xbox. Go back to the build mode, and then instead try putting it on a hill like this up here. And then you can take the outpost airlock and put something like this. And then you can get inside of this habitation, just like you do when you find the randomly generated structures from the non-player characters. So then you're going to get in here and open up your scanner, press the outpost button, and you can actually extend the habitation from inside. So you can actually do it like this, which I actually had never done till just now. I always assumed you could, but I never actually tested it. So you could go through here and slowly expand it. It's kind of buggy to do it from the inside. You're meant to do it from the outside. So that's how you do that. I mean, obviously you put other things like the science hab small, military habs, the round habs, you know, whatever, if there's room for it, if it'll let you, etc. And then that's it for structures. That's how you build the basis of your, you know, house or whatever you want to make. Then there's crafting. So you can put these inside of here, you can put them outside, whatever. But there was the industrial workbench we already made. Cooking station, you know, all these things you have in this crafting station area. You can also put these on your ship with certain modules for the ship. You can also find them randomly in the world in different people's stores and things. But cooking station lets you convert foods into better foods. Pharmaceutical labs lets you make like amps and different things depending on what research you've done. Weapon workbench lets you make weapon mods and upgrade your weapons, give laser sights and stuff to your guns. Spacesuits let you modify your spacesuits some, give different things to it, the minus 25% oxygen consumption maybe, or some stuff like that, I can't remember. And then research lab we already looked at. So that's crafting in a nutshell. Now, turrets are an interesting case. So turrets, there's only one time you use them really, and it's when you're on a planet that has animals. If you're building in like a deciduous forest and there's tons of animals, then you're going to want to put a bunch of turrets all around your base, or else the animals will slowly destroy all your buildings and you'll have to repair them all the time. Which repairing them doesn't really cost anything, but it's just a nuisance to have to deal with. So it's better to put these down if you can, if you have a base that's surrounded by tons of animals. The next one is robots. This is unlocked with some research. These things are pretty straightforward. You just put them down somewhere, ideally not in the habitation. You're ideally want to go put them outside. And just by them existing, then they'll give you these buffs on the left. This one would also help with dealing with animals. It's the security mini bot. And any of these will use materials. On the left, you see, like, this is a more high level one. It uses positron battery, for example. And you can craft those at the industrial workbench if you have high enough research level, or you can manufacture them with the manufacturing stuff, or you can buy them from the guy in Voli. I can never remember his name, but you'll know when you go there. He's like right by the entrance. And then for furniture, there's just furniture, right? The only utility ones are chair, couch, and bench, because you can sit on them to waste time or spend time, make time move forward. Other than that, it's purely decorative. It's whatever you want. You can unlock more of these in the research tab. There are other decorations you can get. Some of these actually have utility. I don't know about the furniture ones, but I know when you get to decorations, there's storage boxes, storage crates. These are usable, actually. There's lamps. There's other just random stuff. There's also somewhere in here, there's the oh wait, it's not in this tab, it's in the next one. Hold on. So this is purely decorative again. The next tab though has displays, and this is where you can store weapons and helmets and things, put them on display, your favorite legendary helmet or weapon or whatever, best backpack, or just, you know, purely decorative. So you can also do that to store things. They have utility, but they're also decorative. And then miscellaneous has a few things that have nothing to do with what's inside of here, other than the fact that you can make your own mission board, so you don't have to go back to civilization in order to do it. And same for the self-service bounty clearance. And then there's also a crew station, which I guess, yeah, you can put that indoors as well. And then the scan booster and everything else, you're not going to want to do indoors. So going back outdoors, the landing pad small is the same thing as the landing pad as shipbuilder. It's just way cheaper, and it only works if you have a smaller ship. And then the other big things here are the scan booster. With some research, there's higher level ones too. These really are not worth it, in my opinion. So the way this works is you put down an outpost and you put one of these down, and then it makes it so when you use your scanner, see that green rock over there? The distance from which you can see stuff like that is way higher, but once you leave the ring of your outpost, it stops working. So that kind of diminishes the whole point of having it. So they're really not useful at all, in my opinion. And then the last thing, which is definitely saving the best for last, or the most important for last, cargo links and cargo link inner system. Now, the cargo link inner system we looked at was unlocked with manufacturing 1 research. Cargo link, I think you have by default. Now, this is how you automatically transport resources between your outposts. Now, keep in mind, these are very, very buggy on launch, and I'll talk about some of the bugs with them as I go through this. The most important one being, sometimes they'll just stop working for absolutely no reason. And if that happens, you have to delete the sending one and the receiving one, replace them, and reconnect them in order to fix it. There's tons of issues like that with these things, but they actually do work a lot of the time. It's just you got to know how to fix the bugs and get them reset and working again. So I'm going to put down a cargo link, and then I'm also going to put down a cargo link inter-system just to show you how some of this works. So the way that this works here is if I go back to modify mode, we have these 2 boxes on the front. Whether it's, regardless of which one it is, there's a green and a red box. So the red box is the outgoing box. If I put stuff in the outgoing box, or the red box, when the ship comes, it will take stuff from that box, and it'll go to the other cargo link on some other planet that we connect later on. And say this was the other, say this link I'm looking at here was the other planet, then this green box would be the receiving box. So I'd put it in the red box here. If this was another planet's one, it would land there. It would stuff everything into the green box, and then it would take everything from the red box at the other planet. It would come back to this planet, and then it would drop everything off in the green box, grab the red box, go to this one, drop it in the green box, grab from the red box, and it would repeat forever. It just goes forever. So the way that you want to do this then, say I want to send iron over there. Okay, I don't know if this is iron or aluminum. Oh, this was iron. Okay, say I want to send iron. I'll take the last in the chain of boxes, the one that fills first. I'll create an output link, and then I'll connect that output link to this red box. Now this red box will be the first in line for any resources, and it'll fill up automatically. Then what'll happen is a ship will come, it'll take the iron, it'll take it off to another planet, it'll land there, and then it'll take the iron from, say it was coming back right here, or no, say this was it. Say this was the other planet, and it was going to land here, and this was on the other planet. Then the green box, it'll drop off iron into the green box. So if I wanted iron to come in, I would take from that green box, and I would connect it to one of my boxes on the other planet, and then it would unload all the iron into that box like that. So let me show you how this actually works in practice. But before I do, you'll notice something else about this one. So the interlinks require helium as fuel. So if you do have helium, you'll have to connect it with an interlink to the back of this in order to power these. So let's start with the interlink that works in the same solar system. So I have one on Griffiths. This is a neodymium outpost. And let's make an interlink and connect it to the one that I already have. So actually, I might already just have some interlinks to use here. Yeah, I do. So we can just use one of the interlinks here. Let's take a look at them. I think I only have the ones that are inner system here, though. So that's fine, though. It doesn't... I can use... Oh, actually, back here's a normal one. Although I might be using it for something I can't remember. It doesn't really matter too much. I guess I can just delete one. I don't think I'm using this planet anymore right now. So I'm just going to delete one of these. I'm going to go to build mode. I'm going to put down a normal cargo link, if I can find room for it again. Okay, so I was able to find room for it. So I'm going to stick down a solid storage here. And I'm going to connect this green one to the solid storage, like this. Now, when this one receives a solid item, like iron, for example, it will automatically stuff it into this storage box. As for the outgoing, let's just not send anything from here. This one's just going to take iron from the other planet, and it's not going to send anything back. So each one of these has a control console. We'll activate the control console, and we'll take a look. Now, for the normal just cargo links, it'll only show other cargo links in the same solar system. So we can see here on Androphon, there was a cargo link and a cargo link inner system. Those are the two I just made at Outpost 4. So you can go to this cargo link, and when I select it, you can see on the right, it shows what resources are outgoing. You can't always trust this, because sometimes it's behind or delayed, or it's not showing anything. But sometimes it'll be right, and it'll show you what's going on. So this was the one that gives iron. We connected iron to it, and say that's the one I want. So I'm going to click on that, and it'll ask me if I want to link it, and I'll say yes. And then you'll see a cargo ship down here, and it can carry, say, 300 mass. So now the cargo ship will come down at some point. It'll land here. It'll do nothing over here, and then it'll go back to the other place. I'm waiting for that ship to appear. There it comes. That might be a different one, but it'll come down like that one. And then it'll land here. It'll take what's here, which in this case is literally nothing. And then it'll head over to the other place. I just want to double check this is actually the one. And yeah, this is the one. So that's the one we just set up. Like I said, it's going to land. It's going to take from this box, which is nothing, and then it's going to head to the other outpost. And back on the other outpost, whenever it does get here, it'll take this iron and it'll ship it over to the other planet and stuff it in that box that I showed you, that I made just to demonstrate. So that's cargo link. Now the cargo link inner system. It's going to be the same thing, but we need to fuel it with helium-3. Which is why it's very, very nice if you can find an outpost that has the resource you want and has helium-3, but that's not always an option. So instead, in this situation, I would have to import the helium-3. So to prep for that, I would put down, in this situation, I'm going to put down another cargo link inner system so that I have 2 of them here. So now I'm going to go to one of my other colonies in Andromos that has helium-3. You can just go make a colony on any world that has helium-3. When you scan it, you'll be able to, that's not the correct planet. When you scan it, you'll be able to see that it has helium-3, if it does. And then you'll just show the resources and land somewhere that has helium-3. But I'm going to go to my outpost here, and I'm going to set up a helium-3 shipment. And here I am on the other planet. I'm going to open up the scanner, open up the outpost, go to toggle view, and let's throw down a cargo link inner system here for demonstration purposes. Actually, I already have 6 of these, so I can't put down another one, which, by the way, you'll only be able to have 3 of these, but I can have 6, because under social, there's outpost management. Get level 1 of that, and it'll let you build 6 cargo links instead. Well, anyway, back to this. We're going to go to view mode then, and then we'll just use one of these. So these links that we put on, if you can get your cursor over them, at the bottom you can see it says delete. We can go ahead and delete these. So I'm just going to delete these just so I can show you how to do it from scratch. So we're going to have this empty one here. Nothing's connected to it. It's just hanging out. So I have this helium-3 production here, and it's all connected to this helium-3 storage, and then it goes all the way up to this being the last one, and this is the one that's powering everything. So I'm going to connect that since it's the last in the line, and I'm going to connect that to the thing in the back in order to power this up with helium-3. So that'll make this one work, but the one on the other planet will still not work. It doesn't have helium-3. So what we're going to have to do is we're going to have to ship helium-3 to it. So we're going to take this helium-3 and we're going to put it in the outgoing box like that. Then what we're going to do is exit out of this, and we're going to go run over to this thing. Once we get here, we can look through the outpost, and this is where you need to remember the name. If not, go open the map and take a look around. But I know it was in Narion, and I'm pretty sure it was Androphon, and we have those 2 cargo links. So this looks right to me. 2 cargo links that are not shipping anything. So we're going to pick one of those, and we're going to connect it. Now, very important, we're connecting it from here. Whatever the first one is you connect it from, which is literally this exact platform that I'm standing on, this is the one I start from, then this will be the very first one that the ship goes to, which is very important when starting up one of these helium chains. Because if I started on the other one, it would come down and it would not be able to leave because there's no helium on Androphon. But since I started on this one, it's going to come down, grab helium, and then take it to Androphon. Now, I have to be careful because it will not be able to leave that other planet unless I go there and set up the helium now. So just because it's getting helium doesn't mean that it can leave or that it's going to store the helium. So I've got to go back to that outpost now, and I have to set up some kind of gas storage and some kind of system to loop this stuff around in order to make it work. So we're going to go here. We're going to open up toggle view and all this stuff. So this one here is the one. So you see these lights? There's green lights, and these lights are red. The green lights mean this one is in use right now. The red ones mean this one's inactive. So this green one is the one that's about to receive the helium. So we need to quickly, before this thing gets here, ideally we would have done this before we even told it to come here like we did a second ago. We're going to go over to storage, and we're going to take a gas storage. And we're going to throw down, let's just say, 3 gas storages. Then we're going to go to modify mode. We're going to take the green incoming, which is what the helium's going to get. So it's going to come here. It's going to drop the helium off into the green box. So we're going to take that green box, and we're going to connect it to the to the gas storage, and then connect all the gas storages together, and then take the last one in the chain and connect the last one in the chain to the box in the back. So that way its helium will go back into the system, and it'll be able to power itself up, and it'll be able to leave. So now this colony has helium, or should, and then it can also keep getting helium on a loop from that. Then you'll also take this and connect it to all of your other interlinks, and now they'll also have helium. Now we can use the cargo link intersystems, even though there's no helium on this planet. Now be aware of bugs with this stuff, because this thing just teleported it in magically, and I don't know if this thing actually brought us helium-3 with it. Actually, it did. I can see right here. But we'll see if it's going to leave. Okay, it's going to leave. It just teleported in without the animation, but it didn't bug, thankfully. So it brought helium-3. It actually had more than we could store, so there's leftover in here. Eventually, this ship's going to fill us up with helium-3. It's going to get stocked with helium-3, and then it'll come down. There'll be no room for the helium-3, and it'll just go back and forth. And whenever we need helium-3, it'll drop off more helium-3. Since we're not shipping anything, it's not going to take anything back. We don't have to worry about it. We're good. We have helium-3 now. We have cargo link inner systems. And now we can ship resources all over the universe, even though we didn't have helium-3 here in the first place. So to ship to other universes and solar systems, I mean, it's the same thing as what we just did to get the helium here. You'll go to that planet, you'll build an inner system there, make sure it has helium, and then you'll, send resources in the outgoing box. On the other planet, you'll take the green box and connect it to something to receive the resources. And that's it, guys. That's how cargo links work. So some quick notes about cargo links, bugs on launch that you need to know about. So one of the common bugs, and I mentioned it before, is you'll set one of these up and nothing will happen. You'll literally sit here and watch, and the ship will never come down. It'll never appear, or it's something like that's happening. If that happens, you would have to go to the build mode, modify mode, and you would have to delete the inner system, the cargo link inner system, and you'd have to go to the planet that it was interacting with and delete the other one that was connected to it, delete both of them, put both of them back down, and then connect them again. That's the only way I've been able to fix it when they literally just will not work. Or like maybe it'll just be sitting here and it won't go anywhere and it's just stuck. That's how to fix that one. The other big issue you'll run into, especially when using the inner systems, is somehow there's a bug, and I've had it happen so many times, where it will randomly take helium from the back and put that helium on the cargo. So even though you don't have any helium on a green box, so say this one is not touching helium. This one is only using helium for fuel. We don't have any helium connected to it. And say we're using that one for caesium or plutonium or some other random stuff. You may run into a bug where it's working And then after a while, you go back and you realize after like 50 shipments, 10 shipments, 100 shipments, after some number of shipments, it randomly stole helium from the tank and then filled itself with 600 helium and then clogged up the system with helium. And then it'll be like, oh, now it has helium and you don't have it connected to any gas storage. So now it's going down and saying, oh, there's no room for the helium. And so it leaves, goes to the other place. The other place has no room for helium, comes back and is literally doing nothing. Even though it's working, it's just that it somehow got stuffed full of helium and is stuck on a loop. And you have to, if that happens, you have to unclog the line. You have to come in and you have to look at the green box and then take any resources out of it and then wait for the cargo link to come down and drop off again and then take the resources out until all the helium has been cleaned out of the system. Now, that's an annoying bug. It's happened to me literally like 10 plus times already, so be aware that can happen. If they're not working, check for the helium bug. And then the last thing to know about with this is if you sit on a bench or you sleep in a bed, that does not speed up the cargo links. They only work in real game time like right now where I'm standing around like this. If you wait in a chair or sleep in a bed, that pauses the cargo links until you're done sleeping in the bed. So be aware these only work during normal game time. And that's it, guys. That is everything about Outposts. So as far as I'm aware, I covered everything. Everything else from this point on is up to your imagination. What planets are you going to put outposts on? What resources do they have? What planets are you going to ship those resources to? What are you going to do with them? Are you going to combine them? Are you going to make items with them? Are you going to like make pharmaceuticals? Are you going to make drilling rigs? Like what are you going to do? It's all up to your imagination now. You know how the systems work now. You know how to connect them. You know how to ship things. You know how to process things. You know how to store things. You know how to research new things. You know how to build habitations to make fancy looking bases just for funsies. Everything. I covered everything. So I made a previous Outpost guide, but it wasn't quite as detailed as this one. I've put way more hours into this system now. I'd say I'm probably one of the most advanced Outpost creators right now. I'm not going to say I'm the most, but I am up there for like, I've definitely spent more time on it than most other people at this point, like 1 or 2 weeks after launch. So I probably put in like 70 hours into Outpost, just playing with Outposts. So I think I got everything. I think I covered everything for the most part. I might come back with some more advanced guides with this stuff, but I just wanted to make a refreshed guide for this that covers everything in a pretty reasonable manner. So hopefully that helped you out, guys. If you were looking for an Outpost guide, this is it. This covers everything from beginner to advanced. Now you know everything about how to make and use outposts in Starfield.